What was that play? Oh my god, this is rigged. This is rigged. She got yanked, fell on her hip. That's a hack.
Did Caitlin Clark just get robbed in plain sight by the very people meant to enforce the rules? Because what unfolded during that Indiana Fever versus New York Liberty showdown wasn't simply a basketball game, it was a blueprint for how to steal a win in the most brazen way possible. What should have been a highlight-packed night for Clark and the Fever instead turned into a nightmare officiating display that could rival any haunted house for horror. New video has surfaced, and it's becoming increasingly clear. The referees appear to have a serious bias against Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. The whistles were flying like there was a clearance sale going on, and the only thing missing was a striped-shirted official stepping up to a podium to admit they personally altered the outcome of the game. Drop your thoughts about these WNBA refs in the comments because something doesn't sit right. Believe me, I never thought I'd say this, but the Indiana Fever, who now boast the loudest, most intense home court atmosphere in the league, just got absolutely robbed in their own building. I saw it all unfold live on CBS as they faced off against the reigning champions, the New York Liberty. Let's get to the insanity. In the fourth quarter, with the score tighter than the lid on Grandma's Tupperware, Sabrina Ionescu magically drew a foul on Lexie so soft you'd need a microscope and an overactive imagination to even see it. Meanwhile, Clark gets bulldozed, driving to the rim, and hears nothing. Not a whistle, not even a warning. The silence from the officials was so loud, it echoed louder than any buzzer beater. And this wasn't just a missed call, it was basketball's version of gaslighting. They hacked DeWanna Bonner. They hacked Caitlin Clark. Let's be real, they are both getting hacked out there, and yet nothing is called. Meanwhile, a phantom foul is given to Ina. The real story lies in one damning statistic: 32 free throw attempts for the Liberty, compared to only 15 for Indiana. That's not a minor discrepancy, it's a mathematical insult. You don't need a calculator to feel how lopsided that is. This wasn't just bad officiating. It was a game of referee roulette, and the Fever were left spinning. Sure, Indiana fell behind by 15 in the first half, no surprise there, but they clawed their way back thanks to Clark breaking out of her three-point slump and the team locking down on defense. The game had started like a blowout in the making, but Caitlin and her squad rallied, made defensive stops, and created momentum. At the third quarter buzzer, Clark drilled a deep three that sent the entire arena into a frenzy. It felt like something electric was happening, and then just as the Fever seized the momentum, the referees yanked the cord. It was like someone tripped over the power cable and shut everything down. Suddenly, the Fever became the target of officiating that felt almost calculated. The Liberty were oddly vague about how they intended to guard Clark before the game, and when they executed their plan, it seemed like their defense came with a bonus from the officials. First, Ionescu pushes off Lexie Hull and gets a trip to the line to reclaim the lead. She barely turns the corner and drives, maybe drawing minimal contact, maybe not. Hull had verticality, and even if it was offensive-initiated contact, Coach Stephanie White didn't challenge the play. But let's back up. The previous play, Sabrina barrels into Lexie and gets the call. Bonner gets hammered on the very next play, and guess what? No whistle. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is being mauled in the paint like she accidentally walked onto a rugby pitch. Total silence. The replays don't lie, they scream. The crowd saw it. The commentators saw it. Twitter exploded. But the officials, it was like they were watching an entirely different game. Sabrina gets knocked down after a layup and somehow earns a foul. Fine, but then Clark takes an identical fall and gets absolutely nothing. The inconsistency was outrageous. And then it got even worse. Dana Bonner takes a clear hit again. No call. At this point, the only thing more predictable than the non-calls was the Liberty's steady parade to the free throw line. It was like Indiana was playing defense using pool noodles. Whistles rained down in one direction only. Bonner was clearly in position, and from the camera angle, it looked like she got hacked, maybe a body foul, maybe an arm slap. Even without a conclusive replay, the real-time footage screamed foul. She was so wide open, it almost looked like New York was intentionally fouling her to prevent the score. And yet the refs swallowed their whistles. Every time Indiana built momentum, the referees slammed the brakes with another whistle, like some divine punishment from above. There's no justifying this. There is simply no way to explain how the Liberty ended up with 32 free throws while Indiana only shot 15 and still claimed the game was called fairly. No way. And the worst part, key players like Clark, Hull, and Mitchell were hit with foul calls left and right, like they were the piñata at a birthday party. Meanwhile, the Liberty's top stars breezed through the contest like they were blessed with foul immunity. It was almost poetic if poetry were fueled by outrage and horrific officiating. Clark, who still has a legitimate shot at MVP and remains the most beloved figure in the league, was playing in front of a raucous home crowd and still couldn't get a call. The fans were livid. Social media lost its collective mind. One fan tweeted, "Is this a game or a setup?" Others were more blunt, calling it rigged. scripted, and accusing the refs of protecting the liberty like they were a national treasure. And frankly, can you blame them? This didn't feel like a few missed calls, it felt like a league directive. Don't let Indiana win tonight. The entire game had the fingerprints of manipulation all over it. And by the end, it wasn't just fans yelling, it felt like everyone knew something was off. Look, officiating isn't perfect. No one expects every call to be flawless. Referees are human. Mistakes happen. But this wasn't human error. This was a pattern, one-sided decisions, stacking up, one after the other, every single one benefiting New York. A foul here, a free trip to the line there, all of it slowly but surely draining Indiana's chances. The Fever didn't lose because of bad play. They didn't collapse from poor execution. They were simply outnumbered 5 players on the court, and 3 striped opponents controlling the game. Late in the game, it was still close. The Fever were right there, battling to the finish, and then boom, 3 straight abysmal calls in favor of New York. Game over. Just like that, these were the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark, at home, and they were robbed. As soon as the final buzzer sounded, the backlash erupted. Players were visibly frustrated. Fans were outraged. Online, the footage spread like wildfire. Clip after clip, missed calls, bad whistles, Clark getting smacked, Boston being hammered. No fouls given while Liberty players cashed in every bit of contact for a trip to the line. People started compiling evidence like they were building a case in court. And now the real question emerges. Was this just a bad night, or is something deeper going on? Because when the reigning champs get every call and the league's breakout star can't even get a whistle, people start to wonder. The Fever didn't just lose a basketball game, they lost their momentum, they lost their rhythm, and fans are beginning to lose confidence that Caitlin Clark will ever be treated fairly. Footage has even emerged. Shout out to the person who caught this on camera, showing a WNBA referee turning his back on Clark and the entire Fever team, literally turning his back. He ignored Caitlin Clark standing right in front of him. It's shocking, absolutely disgraceful. The official acted like Clark and her teammates Sophie and Alia Boston didn't even exist. They were treated like nobodies, like they didn't matter. This goes far beyond just a few blown calls. Fans are beginning to ask the tough question. Is Caitlin Clark being targeted? Is she being treated differently because she's the league's biggest star? She's driving ratings? She's filling arenas? She's elevating the WNBA to new heights. And yet, she can't get a fair whistle. This isn't just about basketball anymore. The spotlight has shifted. It's not just on Clark's shooting percentages or her clutch performances. It's on something much bigger now: whether the WNBA is operating with fairness and integrity. What should have been an electric, thrilling game is now being remembered as one of the most blatantly lopsided refereeing displays in recent memory. Instead of celebrating Clark's incredible effort, people are wondering if the game was rigged from the start. Instead of focusing on the Fever's gutsy comeback, the conversation is about whether league officials are quietly undermining their own rising star. And sadly, it's not hard to see why. The footage is out there. The evidence is mounting. The disrespect is impossible to ignore. 3 referees. None of them even looked at Caitlin Clark. None of them acknowledged her. They treated her and her team as if they didn't exist. It's not just poor officiating, that's a message. And fans heard it loud and clear.